This is acrylic paint. For you guys, you can store your paint in an ice cube tray. Only acrylic paint gets stored in here. All other paints, if it's tempera, is in the cup. If it's watercolor, you mix it every day. So if you are using a big quantity of something, you can mix it in here. Otherwise, you can always mix on your palette knife. Or sorry, on your palette. So, I have mixed. If you want to mix, use a palette knife. Mix it either in your ice cube tray or on a palette. Always start with your lightest color. So if you're making a tint, which means using white, then you're going to start with white. Add in your lighter color and then your darker color. So if you're doing a yellow-green, then you're going to do, in a tint of that, you're going to do white, yellow, and then green. And then mix it with your palette knife. Please, please, please do not use the brush to mix with. It ruins the brush. Care of your brushes. They need to be shaped in the same shape that they start with. So if they're round, they need to stay to the round and to a point. If they're flat, they need to stay flat and towards the direction that they're supposed to be shaped. So whenever you use them, you wash it off in your water. You have a cup of water. And then you're going to take your paper towel, wrap it around the metal part first, and then wipe up. So, and then make sure you check your water to make sure that it's clean. If your paper towel has any color on it, then you need to swish it around in your water some more in your water bucket. Same with this one. You're going to swish it around in the water bucket. Come over to your paper towel, and some of these brushes are falling apart. And you wipe it off. This one still has a little blue, so I need to push it around some more. Wipe it off. Metal up. And it's picking up some of the blue from my fingers, so I should be good. Okay, so acrylic. My brush is wet. I dip it just a little bit, just the tip. I'm not dipping the whole entire brush in. I'm just dipping the tip in, and then I paint with it. Your brush strokes, you decide which direction you want to make your brush strokes. Kind of think about which direction you're trying to make whatever you are making. Now, if you want to mix colors, blend colors together, before that dries, so I have my blue. I'm going to clean out my brush and dry it off some. And then I'm going to take some red, and blue and red mix to get violet. So I should be able to mix them a little bit and get violet. So I have my red and my violet mixing now. That only works when the paint's still wet. Those paints are wet. If they are dry, you are not going to get that to show up. So you can see it went from the blue to the violet to the red. And I got a nice mixture. If I go on top of it up here, I now have violet up there. I have a blue violet because it's more blue than violet. Clean out my brush. So that's how you blend. You need to work quickly if you want it to blend. There is a technique called dry brush if you want to get a texture. So I'm going to dry my brush as much as I can. It doesn't have to be completely dry, just as long as it's not soaking wet. I'm going to dip my brush in the paint, whatever color I feel like using. I'll just use this blue again. Just the tip. And now I'm going to take my paper towel and I'm going to wipe most of that paint off. So I just have a little bit left. And then if I paint with it, I get kind of a texture. So that's dry brush. So if you want to do a texture, you can do that. You can build it up. You should have a color underneath for a base before you do your texture on top. Otherwise, you're just showing the white paper, and it doesn't necessarily look as good. Or if you're working on canvas, again, it would show the white canvas and not show up as well. You can either do watercolor paper for acrylic paint, and you have to stretch that, or you can do a canvas panel. Okay, that's dry brush. You can paint with your palette knife, so you get a scoop of paint with your palette knife, and you put marks in on it. Wipe off your palette knife if you want to change colors and you don't want it to mix in your paint that you have in your ice cube tray. And I'm going to grab some of this green. Comes out pretty thick sometimes. It also depends on the consistency of your paint. Some of it's going to be thinner, some of it's going to be thicker. There's palette knife. You can see you can make all kinds of marks in it. I could even go back here maybe if it's still wet. Nope. So I could make marks in there if I needed to make some kind of texture in there. You can see how I'm scraping off the green and it's showing the blue underneath. And you can splatter paint. So I'm going to load up one brush with some paint, and I'm just going to tap and let it kind of splatter. Now you want to be careful. If you don't want to get it in certain spots, you'd have to cover up. If you want to preserve something, you can use tape, you can use paper, whatever you want to keep it from getting covered. Okay, so that is acrylic, a few techniques to acrylic